guys, welcome to my channel. My name is ReadingBear and I hope you are ready for some more stories. And today, we'll take a look at some new IDontWorkHereLady content. If you enjoyed my content, please don't forget to subscribe to my channel and post some bear emojis in the comment. And now, let's dive right into the stories.
The first story is titled "Why Would I Be Working with My Toddler?" and "Why Would a Store Employee Kidnap a Child on the Clock?" This happened a few months ago, mid-October, when the weather was still nice where I live. I went to our local Kroger to grab a few things I needed for dinner. This is important because I wasn't using a cart, just a basket. My oldest son, who is 3-1/2, loves to go to the store and do anything that involves getting out of the house, so I decided to let him tag along and leave his other brother at home with Dad. Grocery trips for us are kind of like our little mom and son dates. I usually let him pick out a toy or a treat of some kind. Since outings aren't as often since the pandemic, I try to keep things normal and exciting for him. This is where story comes into play. For note, I was wearing a light blue polo, but the store dress code is a dark blue polo with the store logo in khakis. I was wearing jean shorts that in no way was too short, but definitely wouldn't be allowed for any employee of a grocery store. People involved will be M.T.'s toddler son and R.K. Rude Karen. So about 20 minutes into our trip, I had grabbed the few vegetables I needed. It was just shopping around the canned goods aisle to grab some things I might need in the future. I was putting a can of something back in exchange for a larger version. I didn't see at first when I hear, "Ma'am, I need your assistance." Right this instant, not working there, I figured someone was just being an ass to a nearby worker and carried on until about 30 seconds later, while looking at different canned good items, when RK grabs my arm and pulls me around. "Excuse me, can I help you?" "RK, I know you heard me now, help me find the molasses now." "I don't work here, clearly, so how about no, and don't touch me again? As a matter of fact, we're in a pandemic, and you're not even wearing a mask, get away from me." "RK, I have copped, I can't wear one. Where is your manager? That's a violation for you to even ask about my medical condition. Now go find this child's parents instead of dilly-dallying around like you're supposed to, or else he'll tell the manager you weren't gonna give this child back." Completely stunned and pissed at this point. For one, "I didn't ask about your medical condition, I said get away from me since you are above health codes. How dare you accuse me of stealing a child? Again, I don't work here, lady, and this stolen child happens to be my son. Are you okay?" "RK, yes, you did ask me, you little idiot. I know you're a little rotten liar who doesn't want to get in trouble. Now, take me to the manager now. You're no older than 16. Who are you keeping this child from?" "I am 25 years old. He came from my vagina and is my son. I do not work here. Get the hell away from me before I get a manager myself. You are scaring my son." TS is visible scared and on the verge of tears at this point. "RK, he looks scared because you stole them. So now I'm no longer finding his parents but stole him on the clock." "RK, see, you just admitted you do work here." At this point, my son is crying, and so I just grab his hand and walk to find a manager as fast as I can, with RK screaming behind me that she's getting a manager and that I'm kidnapping a child, so people are starting to look. I finally find the manager. It doesn't take much to explain the situation, as RK was trailing behind me screaming as I was talking to him. He very quickly confirmed I did not work there, and then told her to leave for making such accusations and not adhering to local health department guidelines. She, of course, refused, started causing an even bigger scene on how we were human trafficking in the store, and the police up getting called by her. Yes, she was the one who called 911 to report a kidnapping, and she is arrested in front of a good 150 people. Basically just had to tell the cops my situation, and how she was following me throughout the store, accusing me of stealing my own son, and that was that, and went home and on with the rest of my day. So RK, I sincerely hope a jar of molasses was worth a trip to jail and you received the mental health care you clearly need. The next story is titled "Somebody Read Too Much I Don't Work Here Lady Stories." I am quite short, just under 5 ft, and most of the time I am quite comfortable with my height. But supermarkets are my bane. All too often I find things that I need up on top shelf, right where I maybe can tease them down with my fingertips, standing on my toes if I am lucky. So usually I prefer not to risk tipping whole shelf over and just ask closest fellow shopper if they will get whatever I need. Never ever had any problems. Those who are busy will just ignore me. Those who have a moment will help. But yesterday I run into a man who just had to turn it into a huge confrontation. I was looking at a pepper jar thinking if I can get it down myself or better look for help. He came up right at my side and took a similar jar, so before he moved away I asked if he could get a second jar for me, please. He immediately exploded that I am too dumb and can't see that he doesn't work here. He is just shopping like I do. His rant lasted a couple of minutes, insulting me and generally swearing. I was so glad that I finally grew thicker skin. He nearly drove me to tears before I got angry. There was also a heavy dose of stunned, I can't believe people like that exist outside Reddit stories. Thankfully, another shopper came past us, and I turned to her, ignoring still ranting man, and asked her if she would get pepper for me. She did, and I thanked her, turning to leave. I think I heard man choke mid-rant when I was leaving, but I didn't look back. The next story is titled Crazy Neighbor and Their Fence. To start off, my neighbors had their house built years before ours. Their backyard is facing our front yard, and during construction, they'd complain about every little thing to try to stop production. Now, when we moved in, which was a year ago, she called bylaw on us for very petty things. Like how our driveway isn't a two-car driveway, it is. Rocks on our boulevard that she said were construction material. She complained about the rocks on our front yard, stuff like that. So my house needs to be wheelchair accessible. The organization that built our house was paying for a lift to be installed. Well, she complained that she didn't get one. Mind you, she's not disabled, nor her husband. My dad is, he has MS, so he needs the lift for when he gets his wheelchair. She decides to make a big stink when the people come to install it. She is hanging on and assaulting the workers. We called the police and everything, but the guy didn't want to press charges. To make that story better, she called the company and said he assaulted her. But on to the big part of the story. The property line and her fence. When we moved in, we put a garden on the side where her fence is. Took my dad and I 3 days to complete and write. When we are done, she said we were on her property and we have to dig up the flowers and dirt. So we did. Found out she didn't put her fence on the property line, so the organization got a survey from the city. Found out some of her fence is on our property, and she's trying to tell the guy the survey is wrong. So they ignore her and everything calms down. We don't hear from her. Then, recently we found out she's been walking on our property doing whatever she wants. We'd caught her on video. She rips up the grass we put down on her property, so we have just dirt to look at near her fence. She crossed the line, and my parents are suing her to remove her fence from our property. She will also have to remove her shed. If she wasn't such a horrible person, my parents would leave it alone, but now they're going to go deep. The next story is titled Oops, Karen Meets Off-Duty Cop. Let me set the stage. I was in one of the big home improvement chain stores. You know, the one with the big blue logo of a house. There are a few people involved, me, of course, OC, other customer, NGR, manager, and of course Karen. First, I was in a bit of a hurry as I had a pretty busy schedule that day and just wanted to get in and out as quickly as possible. Well, I walked around for what seemed like forever, pacing every aisle, and I could not find what I was looking for. By the way, just a common water filter from what I recall. I also did not come across any employees out of the floor, as the only ones I saw were checking people out. I walked down one aisle and saw a Hispanic man, race will be relevant later, grabbing some items off the shelf. He is clearly not an employee, as he is well dressed in nice jeans and a polo. The only reason he first gave me pause was the radio on his belt, but clearly figured out it was not one from the store, as they use some kind of smartphone-looking radio. In desperation, I said hell, he might know where my item may be. He had the swagger of a man who has clearly been in this store a few times. So we begin. Me? Excuse me, sir, I know you do not work here, but by any chance you have any idea where the water filters are? They seem to have moved them again, and I cannot locate any employees. Ach. Laughs. I know. I think they only keep one employee at a time to work the entire store. Me. I know, gets very frustrating. Those corporate folks are always looking for a way to save a buck and kill customer service in the process. Ach, sad but so true. Yeah, I just picked up some water filters the other day. Here, let me show you where they moved to. Me? Oh, thank you. You really don't have to just point me in the direction. I'm sure I can get it from there. Ach. Small talk as I followed him to the location, and he pointed down the aisle directly at the item. At this point, we're both standing in front of the store, facing down the aisle, when from the distance we hear, "Hey you, Jose, Juan, Carlos," she muttered about a half of a dozen Spanish names out. Me? Ach. Not realizing she is hollering at us, we're just finishing up our bullcrapping. K. Now standing right behind us, and gets right up into OC ear, and not kidding, about 2 inches away. "Didn't you hear me holler for you? I need some assistance. Do you speak English?" Me. I turn around, seeing the typical soccer mom Karen that was dressed like she was about to go out on a night on the town and was well out of place in a hardware store. "Ach, I'm sorry, ma'am. I don't work here, but can I help you with something?" K. Guess not hearing the I depart, she goes off on a rant. "You duck lazy-ass Mexicans." She said a few more racial slurs. "I've been hollering for you for a while, and you can help your own kind out, but not if you're white." Me, confused as I am white, and getting pretty angry at this point, as I have already spent longer in here than I wanted to, and now I am dealing with this. "Excuse me, but you need to calm the duck down, idiot." Ach, in a forceful manner, swipes his arm across my chest, and to push me backward in the "I got this" fashion. Still playing it all calm, cool, and collective. "I am sure if you can calm down for 1 minute, we can get this resolved. Can you please tell me about your problem?" K. My problem is all you lazy-ass Mexicans taking all the jobs and not wanting to work. Where is your damn manager? Me, not knowing when to shut up, I say under my breath, but still audible, "Idiot." K. Lunges for me and slaps me right across my face hard as hell. Ach. Like some kind of ninja grab, K's arm spun her around so fast all I saw was her face planted on the floor with a knee in her back. While holding one of K's arm, he grabs his radio and makes a call requesting an officer to our location. NGR comes running to see what all the fuss was about, screaming, "Get off that lady right now, we have called the cops." Ach, by this time, has already put away his radio and had the badge in his hand and flashes it to NGR. "I have already called for a car." Looks at me with one of those "please say yes" looks. "Would you like to press charges?" Me, of course I do, as I rub my face, and I'm not kidding, I have not been hit that hard in years and swear I saw stars. Ach, slowly got Kay back to her feet, and you can tell by this point, knows she has messed up bad as she just stood there and did not say a word. "NGR, can you tell me what happened?" Ach, told the whole story. A few minutes later, the patrol car arrived, then OC, NGR, K, and the cop moved outside the store. I stayed back and decided to go grab my filters while they get it all sorted out. As I walk out the store, I see K being loaded up in the back of the car in handcuffs. Let me tell you, that was very satisfying to see. OC had me sign some stuff when he noticed my last name, and we found out he is good friends with a lot of my family. The next story is titled "Lady, when do you think the dress code changed to this?" This was a few years ago. An old friend of mine is a teacher and asked me for some help picking out a printer/scanner that not only fit in the bounds of what she could be reimbursed for, but would also not suck. No problem. Been the go-to tech head for my friends and family for years. We meet up at a local, redacted, location in a strip mall and head inside. It's a weekend and I'm on my way to a small summer party, but easily make an hour to go over printers. The party aspect is important in a minute. We head inside and I start going over the differences, advantages/disadvantages of the models I'd done some research on the night before. On the store's website, gosh, what a good friend UV searching is. Pats self on back. We'd been discussing for maybe 15-20 minutes when a shall we say annoyed woman in her 50s walks up and pokes my arm. I turn in surprise and she energetically states, full of self-righteous indignation and not being the focus of my attention, "When you're done with her, I have questions too, you know." I know what you're thinking. So many stories like this are wearing a blue polo in the store that rhymes with rest by, or a red shirt in the store that looks like a bullseye. This was not the case. Recall above when I said the party was relevant. Well, it was a summer-themed party. I was wearing tasteful sandals, no socks, cargo shorts, a blaze orange belt, a very loud Aloha/Hawaiian shirt with some pretty parrots on it. Man, I missed that shirt, and a straw hat. Flabbergasted, I looked down at myself, making sure I was wearing what I thought I was wearing, and looked back at her, jaw on my chest in surprise. "Lady, what part of this get-up makes you think I work here?" I think she was about to retort, but my friend started laughing at her at that point, and she just huffed away. The next story is titled "Why Not Just Commit Battery on a Teenager Because He Helped a Lady and Not You Even Though He Doesn't Work Here." So I was in a local home improvement store that has more agricultural-related products, picking up some welding equipment. I grabbed 5 pounds of the electrodes I need to practice running for school. While I'm grabbing them, a lady asked me if I could help her find a hood and a few types of electrodes for her husband who is just getting into welding. Now, I like helping people when it is something that I am knowledgeable about. I help her by showing her the types I learned on when I first learned that type of welding. She thanks me and walks away, and I grab the electrodes and head towards the front register. Keep in mind that I'm jeans and a black leather jacket that in no way resembles the store uniform of a red vest with the company name on it. This lady pulls on the sleeve of my jacket as I walk by, and she didn't lightly tug on it either. I don't like to be touched by people who don't know me, just like any person, retail worker or not. So I turn on my heels and am about ready to confront the person who just forcefully grabbed my brand new leather jacket. It is an older lady who immediately looks like she has a stick up her ass. She asks me if I know if they have any trailer hitches in the back. I told her that I don't work here, and she says something like, "You just helped that lady get some things in the other aisle." I tell her I did, but I do not work here. I just came here for these, and I show her the 5-pound container of electrodes. "But you helped the other lady, so why can't you go and get a trailer hitch from the back?" This lady says as her brain short circuits. She then tries to grab me again, and I step away as she starts to come unglued. She says something like, "Get back here, you son of an idiot. And when is it okay to help one customer and blow another off?" As I walk towards the registers, I immediately turn around and ask, when is it okay to commit battery on a minor just because he doesn't work at a store? There is never a line in the front, so I immediately tell the guy at the register what happened. In a matter of seconds after I stop talking to him, she marches over all red in the face. She then goes to him and tells him how much of a horrible employee I am and how I need to be fired. He tells her he doesn't work here. "You have 30 seconds to leave the store or we will call the police." At this point, it finally clicks in her head that she DQ'd up in size loudly and leaves without another word. The guy at the register was very apologetic and offered to cover the charge of the electrodes, about $30 including tax, which I declined and paid for it. The next story is titled, "We Must Have a Private Room." My 10-year-old son was in the hospital after a surgery. Rooms are shared, ward is full. My son is quietly reading a book out loud, and we get a new roommate. I have been coming in and out of the room, and I guess I look like a nurse. Nurses are allowed to wear a variety of clothing. This was pre-COVID. I tend to walk quickly, was wearing hair in ponytail, and must have had that bustling nurse look. Mother of new patient is highly agitated as they arrive from a procedure and says that the room is too loud and disturbing for her child. Child seems fine, not bothered, not in pain or looking stressed at all. She insists on having a private room. I am in and out of the room, getting some things for my son. She is not getting any joy from nurses, so she corners me, assuming I am in charge here, and lets loose on how the other child, my son, is too loud and her child needs peace and quiet. Good luck getting that in any hospital room, ha. Her insurance pays for a private room, all great except it is a full house, so no space for private, and I needed to make IT work. The look on her face when I told her I did not work here, and the child in the next bed was my son. At least she looked a bit abashed, but mostly exasperated. I get it's a stressful time, but the entitlement on this lady was ridiculous. The next story is titled, "My Wife Saw It Happen." There's something about the way I look / dress / act that causes people to assume I work here, wherever I'm at the time. It's happened at restaurants a few times, Office Depot more than once, at a fancy resort in Hawaii, but it happens most often at Home Depot. It's become an ongoing joke with me and my wife. I have told her dozens of times about these instances, and we are both entertained, but she rarely sees it happen firsthand. Yesterday, we were at a Home Depot picking up plastic storage bins. She and I together, pulling bins off the shelf and loading them into a cart. An older lady approached me, all, "Excuse me, where do you keep your bug spray?" Me, "It's an outdoors, right over there." All, "Oh, thank you. Also, I have these little fruit flies in my house. What do you recommend?" Me, "Put a splash of wine in a glass. Add 2 drops of dish soap. Cover the top with saran wrap. Poke a couple holes in the saran wrap with a toothpick. The bugs will be attracted by the wine, go inside, and not be able to find their way out. The soap will help them drown by breaking the surface tension on the wine." All, "Oh wow. Thank you so much for your help." The whole time my wife stood there like, oh. After the older lady left, my wife told me how amazing it is to see this happen in real life, and how quickly I transform from a customer to an employee. I haven't even bothered to tell people I don't work here. If you enjoyed the video, please subscribe to the channel and post some bear emojis in the comments.